We humans are wonderfully odd. We say we want one thing but do the opposite. We complain about being busy and then spend 20 minutes reorganizing our pens. We swear we're done with someone and then immediately check if they viewed our story. And of course, we open the fridge again, as though a lasagna might have materialized out of thin air. But despite all this chaos, psychologists have found that most of our behavior comes from just a handful of deep psychological needs. These needs are built into our brains. They shape how we think, how we feel, and how we react, often without us noticing. Once you understand them, the puzzle pieces start to fit. Other people begin to make sense. You begin to make sense. Even your questionable decisions start to appear almost logical. Let's explore these 5 needs, why we have them, and how they influence nearly everything we do. The first need is predictability. At its core, the brain wants to know what's coming next. Neuroscientists often describe the brain as a prediction machine. It's constantly scanning for patterns and trying to make educated guesses about what the world will do next. When the world behaves the way we expect, the brain relaxes. When something unexpected happens, even something small, the brain raises the alarm. This is an ancient survival system. In the past, a surprise could have meant danger. A sudden noise might have been a predator. A change in weather could have signaled a storm, a rival group, or a threat. Today, the threats are less dramatic, but the system is still there. That's why a sudden calendar invite with no details can send your mind spiraling. It's why a message that simply says, "We need to talk," feels like the end of the world. The brain assumes something terrible is about to happen. Predictability feels safe. Unpredictability feels dangerous, even when it isn't. That's why we love routines. It's why people develop rituals. It's why we stick to the same lunch order or the same route home. The brain enjoys patterns. Patterns give it a sense of control, and a sense of control gives it a sense of safety. Now here's where things get amusing. As desperately as we want predictability, we also crave novelty. Once everything becomes too familiar, we start to feel bored and restless. The brain begins itching for something new. Novelty activates the brain's reward system. When something new appears, dopamine is released, creating a feeling of curiosity and excitement. It's the spark that gets children exploring cupboards and mysterious boxes. It's the reason adults get excited about new technology, even when it performs exactly the same function as the old technology. It's why people take up hobbies, book spontaneous trips, or dive into new relationships with reckless optimism. Of course, we don't always pursue novelty in the healthiest ways. Sometimes it shows up as endless scrolling, impulsive shopping, or binge-watching episodes long past bedtime. Our brains are fishing for stimulation and dopamine, even when it isn't particularly meaningful. But novelty has limits. Too much change at once creates stress. A little bit is exhilarating. A tidal wave is overwhelming. The ideal human experience seems to be a delicate balance between routine and variety. Familiarity with just enough unpredictability to keep things interesting. Surprises are fine, as long as they're the good kind. The bad kind, like someone saying, "Can I have a word?" remain firmly unwelcome. The third need is connection. Humans are profoundly social creatures. Even the most introverted among us need some meaningful human contact. Psychologists have found that social rejection activates the same brain regions involved in physical pain. That's why being left out stings. That's why being ignored hurts. Your brain interprets loneliness as a threat, and for good reason. For most of human history, survival depended on belonging to a group. A person living alone was vulnerable. Groups offered protection, shared food, and shared labor. So the brain evolved to treat social bonds as essential. The warmth of companionship signals safety. Isolation signals danger. This need for connection explains why we form friendships, seek romantic partners, join clubs, and stay in family groups even when they drive us mad. It's why we're drawn to communities, in real life or online. It's why we check our phones for messages even when we know there won't be any new ones. It's why people enjoy belonging to teams, fandoms, cultures, and identities. Connection keeps us emotionally alive. Unless the group chat becomes too loud, in which case we briefly consider moving to the wilderness. Connection isn't just about having people around. It's about feeling understood and accepted. Even introverts need this. They may prefer fewer people, quieter settings, or shorter interactions, but they still need a tribe of some sort. When connection is missing, life begins to feel strangely empty, no matter how full the schedule is. The fourth need is competence. We want to feel capable. We want to believe we can learn, adapt, and improve. This isn't vanity. It's how the brain measures progress and growth. When we improve at something, even slightly, the brain rewards us. It gives us that small burst of satisfaction that says, "Well done, keep going." Over time, this leads to confidence and a sense of achievement. It's why learning a musical instrument feels worthwhile, even when we sound dreadful at first. It's why mastering a sport, cooking a complicated recipe, or solving a problem leaves us glowing with pride. But when competence is missing, motivation collapses. If a task feels too big or too unfamiliar, the brain interprets it as a threat to our sense of ability. That's when procrastination appears. Not because we're lazy, but because our brain is trying to protect us from feeling incompetent. We delay the task to avoid the uncomfortable possibility that we might not do it well. So when people avoid challenges or hesitate to start something new, it isn't weakness, it's a natural response to a fear of failure. With practice and patience, competence grows, and the brain becomes more willing to try again. The fifth need is autonomy. Humans want to feel that we have agency over our own lives. This need shows up early. Toddlers insist on doing everything themselves. Teenagers rebel against almost any rule. Adults pretend they're reasonable but still quietly resent being told how to load the dishwasher. Psychologists have found that when people feel controlled, their motivation drops sharply. But when they feel freedom and choice, even dull tasks become more engaging. Autonomy gives us energy. Control from others drains it. This is why micromanagement at work feels suffocating. It's why strict rules can feel oppressive. It's why relationships work best when people feel respected and independent. We don't just want freedom in theory. We want the experience of choosing for ourselves. It's a basic psychological requirement. So there we have it. The strange, messy, and often contradictory nature of human behavior starts to make sense when we understand the needs beneath it. We seek safety. We seek stimulation. We seek connection. We seek competence. And we seek autonomy. When these needs are in balance, life feels manageable and sometimes even fulfilling. When one slips, stress creeps in. When two slip, we start behaving out of character. When all five are unmet, that's when humans become truly unpredictable. But understanding these needs gives us power. It helps us recognize what we're feeling and why. It helps us understand the people around us, even when they act in baffling ways. And it helps us navigate life with a little more compassion, both for ourselves and for others. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed exploring the psychology of being human, feel free to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who might appreciate a clearer look into why people behave the way they do.